Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Happy Saturday. I was about to say Sunday. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well out there, enjoying your day, making it positive. It is Saturday. I got Saturday brain going on right now. But I hope you guys are all doing well out here. I got somebody very, very special coming on here in just a second. But I just wanted to say hello to all y'all. Again, hopefully we get some questions answered here. Because right now, obviously, we have been obsessing. We all have been obsessing over BRYAN Kohberger, Idaho 4, this trial that's going to be coming up, or at least the preliminary hearing, which starts on June 26th. And I thought all these things would just be kind of dormant, kind of just lay down and just be quiet, right? But no, it has not stopped. This train don't stop. This train don't stop. It just doesn't stop. So we got new information that we talked about a couple days ago. So it's not really new information. It's a few days old, but you get what I'm saying. I have a lot of questions that I want to have answered. I said it on the show a few days ago. I said, new affidavit. What does this mean? And where are my lawyer friends at? I did literally say that. I even reached out to Andrea, our guest who's going to be on here in just a second. She didn't answer. She was busy being illegal, right? So we're about to have her on. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to have her on here. It's going to be dope as hell. We're going to be talking about the new affidavit. There's also a motion to appeal this gag order, okay, which is very interesting as well. And I'm going, what does this all mean? So hopefully, Andrea Burkhart will be able to answer some of these questions for us. All right. So do me a favor before we start rocking and rolling. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your name. That would really mean a lot. And of course, so send it past 400 likes. I see a bunch of y'all coming in. Hello. Happy Saturday. Thank you so much for coming through. It really does mean a lot. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't crushed the subscribe button over here on this channel, then you are missing out on the best party on these sides of these YouTube screens. Hit that subscribe button. Just do it. You'll thank me later. Anyway, let's get into some things. We got a lot to talk about and very little time to do it, okay? You know this woman is very talented, very well informed, and she is probably $1,000 an hour. So please welcome our good friend, Andrea Burkhart, to the show. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Hey, I'm really sorry that I had the audacity to work my job this last week. Had a crazy week. Could not get away, but I'm glad that we were able to connect tonight.
I am just absolutely angry right now, okay? I'm just besides myself, okay? No. I do appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with me on this because there's oh my Lord, so many questions revolving around all of this stuff that's been going off lately. And to me, I'm going, is this big deals? Should we look at this and go, these are big deals? Or are we looking at this and saying, it's a nothing burger, it's nothing. It's just normal, regular stuff. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, an expert in the game to just get a better understanding of what the heck all this means. The new affidavit, the gag, the motion to appeal, the gag order, the fact that BRYAN Kohberger got a new lawyer, all those things we're going to be talking about and more. And we still got to talk about the Bluetooth speaker thing that's circulating out here in these streets as well. So we got a lot to talk about, guys. But before we get into it, before we get into everything, of course, I got to give your channel a good shout out because you're coming in, spending your time with us when you could be doing 15,000 different other things, Andrea. So everybody, please go check out Andrea Burkhart's YouTube channel. If you haven't done that yet, you need to. She's very informative. if you've seen her on this show, she has a lot of knowledge. She loves to share it. So she has a YouTube channel to do that as well. So please go and hit that subscribe button over there. I would love to see if we can help her get into the 70s. Okay. So bell bottoms. All right. And LSD. Right? Isn't it though?
Maybe some flowers in my hair and I'm good.
Flowers in my hair. I was just trying to use that's 70s stuff. Anyway, and marijuana. Okay. Peace and love, man. Okay. So please go help her get into the 70s. Okay. So disco was in the 70s, but that was like the late 70s, right?
It was. Yes, it was.
Here we go. I feel like that's a genre that we dare not speak of in a way, but that's a whole other Charles Dickens story. So go over to her YouTube channel, A. Burkhart Law. Okay, at A. Burkhart Law. It is also, there's a link in the description box down below. It's also in the title of this show. So please click on it. Go over there really, really quick because we got a lot to talk about. So quickly go over there, subscribe, come back, and enjoy the show. All right. So we got things to talk about, Andrea. Okay. First and foremost, big deals, big deals. Okay. So first off, we need to talk about the fact that there is a new affidavit. Now, I know a lot of us are losing our minds, at least I am, wondering, what the heck does this all mean? Is this a big deal? Does it mean that the probable cause affidavit that we already been obsessing over for the past few weeks, does it mean that's bupkis now? What does this all mean? Can you elaborate, please?
Sure. So as part of this litigation that is now starting to unfold over the gag order that has been imposed on the parties, attorneys, witnesses, et cetera, in the case, there was an affidavit that was filed by Bill Thompson, the Latah County prosecuting attorney, and he basically just said the Gonsalves family may be witnesses in the case at trial or possibly at sentencing. The reason why they're bringing this up is because they're trying to position sort of where everybody stands with respect to this gag order, because essentially the closer that the individual is to the case, the greater likelihood that a restraint on that person discussing the case is going to be upheld. It's going to be regarded as constitutionally legitimate. So this step was taken for the purpose of basically trying to hook the Gonsalves family in as witnesses in the case, not just disinterested, third-party observers in the same position as any other member of the public.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I thought that I mean, I understand. I may be getting ahead of myself here, but I do understand that when it comes to the Gonsalves family, right? Mm-hmm. They wanted to get rid of this, or at least loosen it up a little bit, for their lawyer. If I'm reading that part of their motion to kind of loosen up that gag order in the beginning, was solely so that their lawyer can at least speak out, step in front of a microphone and speak out on the information that has recently been dropping lately of these graphic details of Ethan and Xana and who passed on first, and the fact that he went upstairs and all that stuff. So why are they tightening the leash even more on the family when it has nothing to do with the family? It's more about the lawyer being able to speak out.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're basically trying to conflate the two of them. They're basically saying, you as the lawyer, you're going to inherit to some extent the role that your clients have in this particular process. So you're not just any impartial lawyer like me, Andrea Burkhart. I have no connection to the case at all. I can say whatever I want about it. The judge can't particularly gag me. But because he is now speaking on behalf of and as the agent for someone that the state is trying to say these are witnesses in the case, that's why they're trying to apply it to him. And so the original gag order, this all came about because the original gag order didn't specify attorneys of family members were going to be covered by it. And so Mr. Gray, the family attorney for the Gonsalves family, says in his declaration, he describes that about January the 12th, he was called into a meeting with the judge who, apparently thought he was supposed to be subject to the existing gag order. He said, I didn't understand it that way. And then subsequently, this gag order was amended. So now it's got specific language in it that says attorneys for family members are also going to be subject to this order. So it's crystal clear now that he is covered by this order and may in fact have been the reason why the order, was drawn out that broadly in the first place. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of complicated things going on with this situation because on the one hand, the family members have First Amendment rights. He has First Amendment rights, and they have a right to criticize the police investigation. That's political type speech. That's squarely within the classic kind of First Amendment activity that everybody has a right to be able to engage in. So to the extent that Shannon Gray wants to be able to speak for the family and criticize, what he's seeing or offer their reactions to how the process is unfolding, that is the type of thing that is classically going to be protected by the First Amendment. On the other side of that, there is the risk that they have information that could be detrimental to Bryan Kohberger's ability to get a fair trial. If they know things, for example, evidence that makes him look really bad, but it's not likely to be admissible in court. Mm-hmm. If you put that out there in the public and it taints the jury pool, you create a much bigger risk now that type of improper consideration is going to unfairly influence the verdict. So the judge wants to be able to keep a handle on that type of thing as well. So it's very complicated with the competing interests that they're trying to weigh here. I think the big problem that they have is that the order is both overbroad and under-inclusive. It is covering people like, for example, the Gonsalves family, who are not parties to the case. There's no indication that they have real material information. Now, we don't know what the prosecutor is signifying in this affidavit when he says they may be witnesses potentially at trial. We don't know specifically what information they would have that they would be called to testify about. And that's going to be a pretty important consideration for the judge in evaluating, well, does that warrant then gagging them? Is it information that's so potentially prejudicial if it gets out that could undermine the fair trial? But if it's just, the last time we had a communication with Kaylee, or how I learned about the situation unfolding when we were notified, that the murders had happened.
This doesn't mean that they're at the place, at the time, at the designated place, at the designated time of these tragedies that unfolded, right? So
exactly. And it doesn't mean that they have any information that's really going to be all that meaningful. They're just part of kind of telling the story of how the investigation unfolded. But it doesn't mean that they learned something, specific that they're going to be there to testify to. That's, going to be the real critical issue between guilt or innocence on Bryan Kohberger. That just seems very, very unlikely. So given that it seems they probably don't have a whole lot of high value, private information about the case, about the evidence, about the testing, they're not part of the investigation.
Right.
It's very questionable to me what exactly they have that would need to be gagged. So that's really, I think, what this motion is trying to get down to, is to say, look, you're already not covering a whole bunch of like the law enforcement officers in Indiana who were given, stuff about arresting him, detaining him in the traffic stops, the officers from Pennsylvania who were speaking out about stuff, so you already have people who are much closer to the case that your gag order doesn't cover. that's what makes it under inclusive. You're not targeting these people that are in a position to maybe hurt the case. But it's also overbroad here because you're reaching this family that has legitimate First Amendment interests in being able to speak about the case, and there's not a real clear indication that they have anything that's substantially harmful if they did say it. So that's where I think the issue is going to come down. The argument is going to come down to, what would it be, and why is this gag order then necessary?
I think they're just trying to get him to shut the hell up.
Mm-hmm.
I said it. I just think that they're just trying to get him to stay quiet. He is the family has been the most vocal out of all four families. Mm-hmm. That's just what I think. I think that they have seen that his face or the family's face has been on camera way too much. They come up, and anytime something pops off, they could possibly be seen on Fox News right afterwards or on somebody's YouTube channel. We need to get them to shut the hell up. So shut up. We're going to put on this gag order because we need this stuff to be very, very airtight. But I feel like this is a violation of their First Amendment, their right to speak out, their right to free speech. Mm-hmm. If they want to speak and they have nothing to do with these unalivings, they have nothing to do with these tragedies, zero, except the fact that they bore and raised these children, I think it's kind of ridiculous that they can't speak out or at least have a legal counterpart representing them to speak on behalf of things that may not be true that have been out here recently. We've been talking about this lately with Ashley Banfield, putting out a lot of content, a lot of information, throwing things off a lot too, within the probable cause affidavit, contradicting what's been said in the probable cause affidavit. The information that has been released about what happened to all four, the gruesome graphic details. The family can't even speak out right now, which, of course, maybe some people outside may agree or may want to not want to hear them anymore. But there are other people that would want to hear confirmation from people who are working that are literally on the sidelines watching this entire case unfold. So how can this court, this judge, really get away with putting this kind of gag order on everyone that's also violating their First Amendment right?
Mm-hmm. No, you make a very good point. And one of the things too that's even pointed out in the Idaho ethical rules for dealing with trial publicity, the types of statements that lawyers are allowed to make, they recognize that being able to respond to information that you didn't put out there in the public arena is an important qualification when it comes to what do you have the right to say about a case or not. And so that's part of the challenge that you have with a case like this, where there is a lot of rumor and gossip and innuendo and speculation that's being reported, and that's taking us outside of what our real objective here, which is to use the trial process that we have to adjudicate what happened and whether Bryan Kohberger is guilty of committing these crimes or not. So it's a challenge you're always going to have in a case where people are trying to extrajudicially, outside of the court process, do these types of investigations, get access to evidence, sort of learn things either behind the scenes that aren't going to come in at trial, or because we're in this slow news period before information has a chance to come out at the preliminary hearing. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of an inherent challenge of the process. And given that, that right to respond does tend to make it a little bit more important than that. Yeah, they have the opportunity to be able to set things right if information is out there that they know to be wrong, or just that doesn't reflect, their understanding of how things unfolded, what the information is going to be, what the evidence is going to be.
Right.
it's hard for me to say that, yeah, well, then they just need to sit there and quietly let all this misinformation pass. That's harmful to the process as well. So
Because I mean, it's a matter of opinion. It's
Mhm.
just putting out opinion. It's not them
Mhm.
actually going, well, this is what I know. And yes, they do have the murder weapon. And let me tell you what I know now. Like, and I know that there's things that he has slipped up and said, right? Even though according to Banfield's information, he was not correct, allegedly. Um, but I think it's strange that the families that were not physically there, in no way, shape, or form were they physically there. How can they be stopped from being able to speak out if there's BS being said, if there's rumors, or even just commentary on the actual trial itself, being able to just speak out on behalf, or speak out to the public on behalf of themselves? I think it's just ridiculous.
Mhm.
Yes, I know some people would rather them stay quiet right now, clearly. Um, but at the same time, I don't see how that's hurting anybody. I don't see
Yeah.
how that's hurting the case. The case has already been hurt. It's been it's been injured so many different ways because of all the BS that we have that has not been confirmed or denied. That's
Mhm.
been leaked out to the public, right?
Mhm.
So it's strange and frustrating that they would hold them back from being able to speak. The other part, aside from me thinking that they just want them to shut the hell up, is also, I think that maybe, I mean, there's other people that are wondering if there's maybe something that they're hiding. Maybe they're trying to be on Team BK's side. I don't know, and I think that's what a lot of people on the other side of the world, in the heavy speculation world, are kind of driving with right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I have no idea what their internal motivations are. I am sure that they are grieving family members. They miss their daughter. They want to see their daughter's killer brought to justice. And they have every interest in making sure that the police have got the right guy, that, the prosecutors have charged the right person, that there isn't, maybe somebody else that is implicated that has not been identified or charged. They have a right to want the process to be fair and to be dignified and to have opinions about that. So I understand what the court is trying to accomplish here. The court doesn't want the case tried in the court of public opinion, and they don't want the Gonsalves family uh, basically litigating the investigation based on hearsay, based on what they've been told at various points in time by perhaps the prosecutor or law enforcement officers or the coroner or whoever. Because that's the situation where you can end up with a lot of misinformation, not deliberately, but that's just it's human nature. The telephone game is a thing. The more times something gets repeated, the less likely that what is actually ending up in print is going to be accurate. So I can understand why the court would want to limit them as sort of reporters of the investigative process. And I think to some extent that type of restriction probably could be crafted in a way that would satisfy the First Amendment. But this order is not that. This order is so completely broad and just basically says you don't get to say anything about the case at all. And that clearly encompasses these areas of criticism, these areas of response that they, under the law that we have, do seem to have a right to be able to comment on.
Yeah, man, it is just a very frustrating situation. Because I know, I know for a fact, for the people that are there for the salaciousness and for the big headlines and all that, they ain't gonna get it unless it's inside that courtroom. They won't be able to speak to anybody, report anything, talk to anybody that's connected to this. It'll all be more of this hearsay, got it from a source, quote unquote, type of thing. From here, from when Ashley Banfield, for example, started coming out with a source told us, till the verdict, I have a feeling. And if it keeps going the way it's going right now, in my personal opinion, if it keeps going down this crazy slope that has been going down with all the salaciousness and all the sources and hearsay slope, if it goes down that slope, I think that it'll be they're going to sit there and say no cameras. You can't even be, reporters can't even be in here. Sorry. Next time though, if it keeps going down this particular route, it's been getting very sloppy in my personal opinion. And I can see why now the gag order is in effect, because I feel that that's the other thing too. Even while somebody who's representing the Gonzalez family, any of the families, ends up stepping forward and speaking on their behalf, I feel that everyone's going to nitpick the hell out of that and go, wait, what did he mean? He didn't have to go up the stairs. What does that mean? He didn't need to go up the stairs. Huh? Does he know? What does it mean? Like, you know, whose glove is this? That whole okay, whose glove is this? All that stuff that went nuts, right? Imagine during the trial, a lawyer steps forward and speaks up about this. Have mercy. People are going to be every syllable and go, oh my God, it means something bigger, when it may mean nothing at all. So I could totally understand thinking about it now even more.
Yeah.
The gag in full effect. Go ahead.
And I think you've made a really good point. One of the things that I find interesting when I look at this motion, both sides here, the Gonzalez family and the state and Mr. Koberger's attorney, have all filed legal memoranda on this. They're all looking at pretty much the same general set of law. And there's some irony in the fact that one of these cases that is kind of one of the main ones that's going to govern the outcome here is this case called Shepard versus Maxwell. And it's a situation where the press basically took over the entire trial process. They were out there interviewing witnesses. They were recording circumstances where the defendant was being like questioned in an auditorium in front of the cameras. The whole thing just got blown up into this massive media production. They were setting up so many cameras in the courtroom that the public couldn't attend. They were behind the bar so that the attorneys couldn't confer with each other without the press being able to overhear, without being able to read their notes over their shoulders. I mean, it was complete and total pandemonium. So in that particular case, the judge said, this is so overwhelming. You have deprived the defendant of due process under these types of circumstances. This is simply a fundamentally unfair trial. So when the press inserts itself to an excessive degree, like in Shepard versus Maxwell, with these things like out there reporting gossip, reporting innuendo, trying to identify witnesses and get them on record, outside of the courtroom, these things can be very, very problematic from a standpoint of being able to maintain the integrity of the judicial process and the conviction that results. So I just think that you're spot on, that they're kind of putting the court in the position here where they may have very little choice but to try to ratchet down on, to the extent they can, the access that the press is going to have to this process, simply because the more that the press gets inflamed over every single aspect of this that comes to their attention, the greater likelihood that they create a problem, that they create a big risk. So I don't know that I would be surprised at this point to see that potentially cameras would not be allowed in the courtroom as well, just because it's discretionary with the court. They don't have to do it. And if that can potentially tamp down on some of this, frankly, a lot of it irresponsible reporting, I don't think they're going to hesitate to do that.
Oh, give it time. Give it time. If it keeps on if it continues to be this murky within this mucky muck, because it's been mucky already. It's been murky in the muck. If it continues to get worse, it will happen. That's why I feel like, and maybe I need to put a poll out here. but other places that are sitting there going, a source, all that needs to stop, because I don't think it's getting any better. And don't get me wrong, I get it. We want to talk about it. We're talking about it right now. We all want to know what's going on. We all want to know the truth and all that. I understand the passion and the emotions and how we're attached to this. But the fact that these other stories that are coming out that are contradicting certain legal documents is not good. And it will end up being a snowball effect to the point where the judge will be like, I can't take this anymore. This is way too much of a circus. No cameras, no reporters, everyone outside the door. You just will figure it out. You'll figure it out when it's all over and just be done. Or read our transcripts and call it a damn day, which I know none of us really want to do that. Okay. Not me, at least. All right. But
I'll be very popular.
Oh man, you'd be like a laser pointer and a whole PowerPoint and behind you and everything. But I do, before we go into the appeal, of course, the defense team doing an appeal on this motion or this motion to appeal the gag order. Before we go into that conversation, because that happened on Thursday, that was filed on Thursday. I want to ask your thoughts on this. And this is totally off book, so I'm sorry, guys. Okay, this wasn't planned. Sorry, Andrea, but I want to get your personal opinion about this. So, because I went in on this like a madman. I was pretty mad. I was pretty upset. So, just the other day, Ashley Banfield dropped some source information about Dylan Mortensen and the new details about the man in all black, and all that. And when she did give out this information, she said something along the lines of, actually, Dylan just thought it was a bunch of party noise, that they were just partying, and that she didn't shut the door in fear, in frozen shock phase, as the affidavit says, that she thought it was just some random guy like leaving, like he was just there kicking it with the other people in the house. So she just closed the door and went to sleep. Unfazed, completely unfazed, no shock phase type situation. Now that, to me, drastically contradicts the affidavit with all the details that we get in this affidavit. Now, I would think that with Ashley Banfield, she would give us, if there was details, right? It wouldn't be some broad stroke thing. Right? It would be, yeah, she heard some noise. She heard somebody say this. She heard somebody say that, so on and so forth, when she's retelling this story from this source. So when she retells this story, she just says she opened up the door three separate times. 2 of those times she was trying to get them to shut the hell up, basically, because she was trying to sleep. 3rd time she opens up the door, she sees somebody walking down. She thought it was just another college student out there kicking it because it was known as a party house, and she went to sleep. So to me, that drastically contradicts, to me, the affidavit. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Because we hear a source saying one thing. We see the affidavit saying something completely different. Is the affidavit lying just so they could just nab an evildoer? Or is her source credible? That's what I'd like to know as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? We don't know who the source is. We have no way of being able to attribute this information, to be able to weigh it, to be able to know, what was their source for this information? Were they there? Did they personally observe this? My understanding is that this general story that was reported on News Nation was ripped from Reddit or TikTok or something like that, from some account of questionable provenance. And this is exactly the type of thing that is problematic when it comes to reporting, because how can you give that to any weight if you're going to report that as if it is something verified, as if it is something legitimate and authentic? Then I would think you at least could tell us the steps you took to verify it, to verify this person, give us some indication of like I said, this person's basis of knowledge. It all just, to me, is indicative of exactly the types of problems that the judge is trying to squash in this case by basically saying, look, if you're actually a witness here, you don't get to talk to the press. That means the only people that are left that can talk to the press are people who don't actually know what's going on.
Right.
So at least we have a clear dividing line between the press is reporting a bunch of unverified, unsubstantiated information that's probably not going to be what you hear in the courtroom. And what we do ultimately end up hearing in the courtroom. No, they did not lie in the probable cause affidavit. That would be insanity.
Absolutely, right?
Did they characterize events in a certain way for certain purposes? Yes, absolutely. That is what lawyers do.
So wait. What is wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what does that mean exactly? Because that could mean many different things, and you just did a lawyer thing. You just did a lawyer thing. So explain
it means
that really quick.
that there are always lots of details. There's always editing going on in the storytelling process. A probable cause affidavit is part of a storytelling of the case. It's not taking raw, quotations from the recorded interview with Dylan and putting those in. No, they're characterizing it. They're summarizing it. They're describing what, from their perspective, they learned from the process.
Right.
So yes, it is possible that when Dylan testifies at the preliminary hearing, which I expect she is going to do, that there may be some inconsistencies in the way that she describes it versus the way that the probable cause affidavit does. That's not that uncommon. Again, the probable cause affidavit is the prosecutor who had heard about this from a police officer who got it from, doing this recorded interview with Dylan. We already have a few degrees of the telephone game here. Okay. So it is not that uncommon for there to be, little variations, the further down the line you go, but also just, it's not that uncommon for memories and recollections and stuff like that to be inconsistent anyway. This is a normal type of situation that you deal with when you deal with something traumatic, like waking up to find your entire house, murdered and bloody. This is not, a normal situation.
But let me ask you this though. Okay. Writing something that says, don't worry, or I'm here to help you. Somebody's there. Guy in all black with a mask covering his face, bushy eyebrows, running out the sliding glass door. Those are very big pieces of information that I don't think anyone could just summarize in an affidavit, right? So would they just be that can't be a summary, right? That's very specific information. Like when they did the whole cell phone towers and they talked with this FBI specialist that's been doing it for 30 some odd years and knows every make of a Hyundai Elantra that's ever been made on this planet. I mean, they was so descriptive. So why would they be lackadaisical, if you will, on that kind of information? Why would they summarize that if that's a possible? I would hate to hear that oh my God.
Well, I think what you'll find is that they have selected what they thought was important from that interview. And so it's very likely, given how these interviews typically go, you go through a few iterations of what the person remembers, particularly when you're dealing with somebody who is potentially traumatized, having a hard time, dealing with the situation, recalling things. Not abnormal at all in a traumatic circumstance for memories to immediately not be available. You only start to kind of access them in potentially days down the road as you've kind of become calmer and a little bit more normalized. So they likely went through the interview process with DM. I would expect it's recorded, probably on a body cam. It's probably in the discovery. And these are statements, details that she provided during that interview. But it's not the entire interview. It's not everything. It's not the time she said, well, I don't know, or it's not the time she said, I have to think about that and try to remember that, or, maybe it was like this. They have to do the best they can to try to take what they understand the substance of her testimony to be, and just refined that down for purposes of what's important in this probable cause affidavit. So that's really how the writing process goes. It's not so much, I mean, yes, there is summarizing and there's characterizing, but it's also just editing. They aren't going to play the entire interview and transcribe it in the affidavit. They're just going to pick out the parts that are important. And that's what I think they did here.
Interesting. Interesting. I would hope that the chunks that we are all obsessing over, the fact that the details, because the devil's in the details
Yes.
all day long, right? So I hope to God those parts aren't just summaries. And I do understand trauma, affects us all in very different ways. It's a very individualized situation. So when it comes to memory, especially when you're dealing with something traumatic, it does take some time. It may take 2 weeks for her to go, no, he was wearing a red shirt, not a blue shirt. I was wrong. He was wearing red. No, he did have a knife in his hand. It was in his right hand. And yeah, he wasn't walking, he was running out the door. I do remember that now. Like, those things do happen where you just have blackouts basically in your memory. And then, of course, let's not forget, she may have been under the influence of something. You never know. God knows what it could be if she was. So sometimes it takes a minute to sober all the way up for you to have that memory as well. So that is very true. But as far as the affidavit says, those pieces of information where they're doing quotes and all that, I just hope that those are as ironclad as they can be. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But real quick, I got some super chats here. Contrary, first off, Andrea, thank you for being here. Okay.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're definitely I'm still angry. You are helping a lot. So I appreciate you helping me. Okay. I'm being selfish right now. Thank you for helping me and everybody else in the family too. So Contrary, thank you so much for the 2. She said, they said, thank you for all you do. No, thank you for coming in and being a part of the conversation. I really do appreciate it. I got a couple other super chats here really, really quick before we move on to the next conversation. Okay. There's this other one. Michelle B., thank you so much for the 5. Thank you so much. There are so many rumors. Absolutely. I want sources to put their names and bona fides on things. Yes. But I also understand them wanting to stay anonymous. Absolutely. I do get that part too. I just feel like the sources maybe need to wait to be leaking out this information. I don't know. It's like, do they do it now or forever hold their peace? It's kind of that right now, because I don't like being thrown off when we've heard one narrative for so long. We've been dodging and bobbing and weaving through all this muck, trying to find the truth. And we're trying to get the best of the truth as we can out of all this stuff, it's frustrating. So I feel in a way everyone should stay quiet until the actual trial, and then we can deal with the rest, because then we at least have something to lean on, because we have a source, which would be the trial. They say this person said this, whether it's true or not, this is what they said under oath. This source is saying something else. It contradicts what this person said. Either they committed perjury or they are telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm hoping everybody just starts to be quiet. But what are your thoughts on that, Andrea?
Well, the goal is that's how the process works. That's how it fleshes it out. If there is any legitimacy to this issue, that's being reported with a source, then yes, this source is a potential witness. And so if we see a source show up at the preliminary hearing with this type of testimony, okay. We've learned that now, through a process, like you said, where we have somebody who has a name, somebody who is subject to cross-examination, somebody who is under oath when they're making these types of statements. So there's no real recourse against the stories of sort of the anonymous, informants that are out there. We have no idea what their motives are for wanting to speak, no idea what their connection is, no idea if these are sane people or, it's not uncommon that people get really excited about a case. We've seen something about a lady, sending letters to Bryan Kohberger. Okay, there are some people out there who get some weird ideas and, sometimes think that they, are more knowledgeable or involved in stuff than they are. We have no idea if that's who these people are. So
Absolutely.
that's why I just encourage people always, when you're encountering the media and reports on these types of issues, to just be very skeptical of anybody who is not going to identify their source, who isn't verified, that you know nothing about who they are or why they would know this. You just have to take that very skeptically, because if it is viable, it'll end up in the court process, and it's better to just wait and see at that point.
Absolutely. Eyes Wide Open, Inc. Thank you so much for the 5. She says, question for you, Andrea. Do you think they will find a way or end up pushing the trial to September, being as though it's vacation season for most? That's funny.
Oh.
I think the law just says, I don't care if it's rain, snow, sleet, or shine, but that's just my personal opinion. Like, let's get it over with so they can lock him up and throw away the key. But this question is for you, Andrea. What are your thoughts?
Well, so the preliminary hearing is what's scheduled to be in June. And so it is possible he could say, I want more time to be able to prepare for it, continue it out. If everybody agreed with that, then that would probably happen. But we are still a long way from the trial in this case. He hasn't even entered a plea yet. He's not even going to be required to enter a plea until after this preliminary hearing is held. And assuming, as I think is a safe assumption, the judge finds there's enough evidence, to hold him over on the felony charges. So it's, yes, possible that this could continue to get kicked down the road. I don't know if it's likely or not. It just depends on a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. And as long as they're having to kind of divert energy into these collateral types of issues, like whether or not this gag order is effective, whether or not, Ann Taylor has a conflict of interest, all of these sort of side conversations that aren't going to the core of what needs to happen before this preliminary hearing can be held, then that just makes it more likely that it's going to take longer to get to that point. If we're worried about these other issues, then we're not moving to suppress evidence. We're not reviewing the discovery. We're not hiring our own experts. And all of that stuff takes time.
Yeah, you're right. S-Dubs, thank you so much for the 2. Will it matter if DM is under the influence? I guess in court, the defense could have some fun. I mean, obviously, I'm not a lawyer, okay, first off, but I've seen a lot of Matlock. So let me say this really quick. And Perry Mason. Man, Perry Mason, though, okay? So anyway, real quick, I feel like the defense could use this to poke a lot of holes in her testimony if she does end up taking the stand, because she is allegedly the star witness. We know nothing of Bethany so far. We haven't heard anything from her at all. We have been solely hearing from her, from Dylan, solely because of the affidavit. Okay, guys? So I could see her being under the influence being a possibility of the defense being able to have some fun, like, but did you see him, ma'am? Because you were high, weren't you? You know what I mean? There's so many possibilities. I don't know why it goes Southern. Just go with it, Andrea. But I feel
Matlock. Because of Matlock.
Exactly. So I feel like with DM, there is a possibility that the defense can make a meal out of that. That's just my thought. Andrea.
Here's how I see it. I don't see DM as being a particularly valuable witness at this stage in the process, simply because even under the best case scenario, what she gave us in the probable cause affidavit is not really that much. It's certainly not more to hang our hats on, Bryan Kohberger as the perpetrator than, for example, the DNA on the sheath is going to be a much stronger, piece of evidence to that point. So DM was important in the timeline when you're looking at how the investigation unfolded and what allowed the police to be able to progress from step to step to step from here we have a universe of the entire world of people that is potential suspects. Now we can narrow it down to this particular time frame. Now we can narrow it down to people with this build and with this bushy eyebrows. Now we can narrow it down to people driving this particular kind of car. And lo and behold, all of these circumstances now, converge on Bryan Kohberger. That's what got them the suspicion, the individualized suspicion that they needed to be able to go and get a search warrant for his phone records to say this isn't just one of the 20,000 people with a Hyundai Elantra or whatever. He's the one that matches the physical description. He's the one who is at WSU, where police were able to find video of a car, at the early morning hours coming back from the General Moscow area. He fit all of the circumstances. So her story was an important part of that evolution. But in terms of where they're at right now and the proof that they have that Bryan Kohberger is the perpetrator, she's a very small piece of that. So whether or not she was under the influence matters only to the extent that it has the ability to affect her ability to recall and accurately report what she saw at the time. So there is potential hay to be made with that if they can call into question, for example, the timeline. If they could call into question, were other people, coming in and out of the house? Is that something you might have been aware of if you were, drunk and passed out, and there had been like a, small party or something going on, and there were lots of people coming and going, and this just happened to be the person that you saw on this occasion when you woke up? I'm just throwing, complete hypotheticals out there by way of example. But at this point in the process, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be critical, because they have that, key piece of evidence that is going to be the hardest one for them to overcome, which is the DNA on the sheath. And how did that get in the house? There's not a good explanation for that.
They Star Trek, they just beamed it in. That's exactly what happened.
And so we might at trial hear another story about that. We are unlikely to hear a defense case at the preliminary hearing, because that's not what the purpose of it is. The purpose of the preliminary hearing is just the weight of what the state has. So there could be a whole other story for how it got there. We're not going to hear about it at the preliminary hearing.
That's true. Oh, well, there you go. That's good to know too. Robin, thank you so much for the 2. Andrea's awesome. No, she is not.
Oh, thanks, Robin.
Robin. And she says, thank you, Pascal. So no problem. Anytime. Of course. I got another members comment here. Dory McNulty, she has been a member for 21 months. Wow. Almost 2 whole years, y'all. That's amazing. Thank you, Pascal and Andrea, for this convo tonight, making some sense of this senseless situation. So happy to be a family member. Yay. And just like Dory McNulty, who's been a part of the family for so long, Maine, first off, you can join her in the family membership by hitting that join button down below and becoming a member. Just consider doing that for a second, okay? Helps this channel keep its lights on. I mean, these purple lights are not cheap. Do you understand? Just like her fish ain't cheap. Do you understand? So they got to be fed, just like these need to be fed with electricity. So I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you so much for the support. And thank you so much for all the super chats. If you guys got any questions, by all means, throw them into a super chat. I'll make sure that they are out here, because I know a lot of people are in the house listening to this conversation. Now, we got to get into this other part here. I mean, it goes back basically to what we were just talking about earlier, but this is very interesting nonetheless, in my personal opinion, and I feel like we could tap on it just for a few minutes. Of course, Bryan Kohberger and the defense team objects to a motion to loosen the gag order. So the objection filed Thursday comes less than a week after Shannon Gray, the attorney representing the family of the victim, Kaylee Gonzalez, filed a challenge in the state court that said the gag order is too broad and places an undue burden on the families. In the motion to appeal, Gray said this non-dissemination order, commonly known as a gag order, constitutes an intolerable prior restraint of free speech, which we went into detail already. But I do find it interesting that that Bryan Kohberger and the defense, his team, were objecting this motion to loosen the gag order. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it is a little bit different. It is the same thing, basically, that we just talked about 2 seconds ago or earlier in the show, but it's now them trying to say, no, tighten up this. No, don't loosen it up, tighten it up as much as we can. What are your thoughts? What do you think are the reasons behind them doing this on this side?
Well, I think Bryan Kohberger clearly wants the gag order to be in effect for all the reasons that we've talked about. It results in, you know, hopefully preventing a lot of very prejudicial information being able to be, shared in a public forum where it's not under oath, it's not cross-examined, nobody's being confronted with, their conflicts with contrary evidence and so forth. It's not the right forum to be able to adjudicate what happened and why. We know that Brian Koberger wanted the dissemination order in the first place because it was originally entered by stipulation. The defense and the prosecuting attorney both agreed to the order and the form it should be in, submitted it to the judge as an agreed order who signed it. So they're fine with the status quo. We already know that. It's the folks who want to speak and the folks who want to report, the folks who, potentially want to be able to go and interview witnesses and get extra evidence and things like that they can report on. Those are the people that have the interest in trying to get the gag order lifted. So yeah, this is an ordinary objection. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I do think that my personal opinion is that the Gray family is got the stronger, legal standing for a whole variety of different reasons. But yeah, Brian Koberger wants his trial to happen in court, not in the media.
Right. And I get it, because it would just be another could turn into, well, it's already a smear campaign out here on his behalf. Because let's be real, we all think for the most part, I mean, present company excluded, think that he's the bad guy already. Did I expose you? No, I don't think so. You said it last time and I was like, what? But I could see why that he's like, it's kind of like the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trial, all the craziness that went down. It turned into an absolute circus during the trial. This is already a circus with all the misinformation, with all the BS, with all the theories and the speculation and all that. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when the trial actually starts, especially if it's caught on camera and for everyone to see after the trial takes place, or when they end every day during the trial. It's just going to get more and more crazy, more and more salacious. It will be a feeding frenzy. So I feel like he is, or his team is, trying to sit there and go, yeah, obviously he's guilty by the court of public opinion, but maybe we don't want to drive that last nail in the coffin right now so hard. Let the nail be driven by the verdict that the jury of his peers makes during this trial. So I can see that what's going on here as well. It makes total sense. And I know some people are like, why would he try to push this back and all that stuff? Well, his team is just trying to protect his ass. Real talk. I mean, straight up and down, like 6 o'clock. This is nothing, in my personal opinion, that thought-provoking or that jaw-dropping. I think we would all do the same thing if we had the whole world watching. All of us are at the edge of our seats. If we hear anything about anything revolving around this, we're quick to respond, right? To have that knee-jerk reaction. So I could definitely see that being a reason why they're doing that, for sure. Real quick, Karen, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. No, you're awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Okay. Thank you. Now, there is this other part, and I know this is news to you as well, Andrea. So I wanted to share with everybody this was information that was dropped last night. Okay. And of course, this is still like information that they're saying right now. I don't know how much of this is actually like, I don't know. I don't know how to take this, and I don't even know if this is a big deal or if this is a small deal. But let's take a look at this article here. Okay. Another source, another one, okay, is saying that one of the victims of the Idaho 4 had a Bluetooth speaker in her room. Now, some of y'all might be like, why does this even matter? Oh, was it Bose? Was it a Beats? We don't know, guys. We don't know. All we know is that there is a Bluetooth speaker in one of the rooms. Now, what they're saying, and I'm going to be playing the video for you guys too, so you guys can hear this as well. But this is saying a source close to News Nation, what else is new, revealed that Idaho victim Kaylee had a Bluetooth speaker in her room. Now, remember, the act and where Kaylee ended up losing her life was not in her room. She was in Madison's room, okay? But it is Bluetooth. So this is what they're saying. Even if a phone is in airplane mode, a phone could potentially connect to a Bluetooth device, which is actually very, very true when you think about it. I'm going to explain here in just a minute. Forensics and cybersecurity expert Clark Walton discussed on Banfield whether a Bluetooth link could prove suspect BK was there. I'm going to play a little bit of the link, a little bit of the clip here in just 2 seconds. But I do want to point this out. This is very true. Airplane mode does exist so that you can go on a plane and listen to your music, watch a show, do whatever you need to do on your phone. You may not be able to make phone calls, but you damn sure can listen to your Kanye. So think about it. Your phone is connected to your iPad, your Bluetooth earbuds, right? They have to be connected via Bluetooth. Now, when it comes to these Bluetooth doohickeys that are all over our houses and stuff, even if you're on airplane mode, those Bluetooths, if they're open, will try to connect to your stuff. So there is a possibility if he had a phone with him during this thing. We all know that he turned off his phone, but it could have been in airplane mode during this whole time. He could have walked into the house with his phone on his body while the unthinkables were happening, and then ran out, got into his car, drove off, and then took it off of airplane mode. About 45 minutes later, something like that. I forgot the timeline again, but correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So there is a possibility of this actually being a thing where his phone and his the Bluetooth of his phone could expose him if you really think about it. So let me show you guys this video.
Oh, when I said I want to get,
because I know this is new for Andrea as well. So we're going to watch it as a family. Okay. So yay. Let's do this. Hit the number 1. Let me know you guys can hear this. Let's rock and roll.
into the nitty gritty, that's Clark Walton's space. He is a principal forensics and cybersecurity expert for Reliance Forensics. He's board certified in data security. He's a former cybersecurity analyst for the CIA. He's also a former prosecuting attorney. Mwah, chef's kiss. You are perfect, Clark, for this.
Ooh.
Look, get me sort of on and off the ledge on this, because I always want to know that there's lots of evidence. If you're going to bring a guy in and charge him with quadruple murder, I want to know that there's lots of really good evidence. This would seem like it would put a guy right in the room alongside the DNA on the knife sheath. But why might it not work? Let's just look at the other side. Why might this not work?
Right. So your phone, as you know, when you're walking around with it, it is trying to talk to the rest of the world any number of ways, right? Bluetooth and your cellular antenna and near field communication. But it doesn't necessarily mean that those attempted handshakes that you just referenced are necessarily being recorded. Not every single action that your phone takes is necessarily going to stick with that phone. If a forensic examiner were to look at it days, weeks, months later, yes, that handshake could have occurred, but is there going to be a record of it on the device that a forensic examiner can pull back?
Okay, so let me take that one step further, and I'm going to just be full disclosure here. I am a complete idiot when it comes to this stuff. I have to hit all the buttons 100 times and then reset just to get something to work.
She wants to date him. I said it. I'm getting it out of my system. Chef's kiss. All right. But as you can see, we're going to play a little bit more, but as you can see, but I got to do this because of, fair use and all that. But as you can see here, this is also the story and the theory that's been flying around here way before about the Wi-Fi. Remember, there was a story about him, maybe his phone getting connected to the Wi-Fi. Maybe it wasn't Wi-Fi. It was actually Bluetooth connections to speakers, because they did take everything from or good portions of things from that area, from that house as well. So you never know. But This is just theory so far. Let's continue. But she so wants to date him. Oh, my Lord. Let's continue.
But I do know this. My phone is connected to my Bluetooth speaker, and my phone knows when I go from portrait to landscape, and it keeps that as a record, as I learned in the Murdoch trial. What if Kaylee's speaker was connected to her phone? Because presumably they're all up on the third floor, right?
Good question.
You're going to have your phone upstairs when you go to bed, even if you're 50 feet away in the other bedroom. Will that perhaps keep a record?
That would keep a record. And so have you ever noticed, you'll spend a night in a hotel and you'll not come back to that hotel for months, and then you'll go back to that hotel and it will automatically connect your phone back to Wi-Fi like you'd been there the day before. Your iPhone does keep a record of what Wi-Fi networks you've connected to, certain information about those networks, the name, the password, the last date and time, importantly, potentially for this case, the last date and time that phone was connected to that Wi-Fi network. And the same works for Bluetooth as well. It keeps a listing of Bluetooth assets that you have connected to at a certain point in the past in time. So let's say hypothetically, at some point in the past, Kohberger's phone had initiated or completed a handshake with really any other device in proximity to that house, coming back in close proximity to that house, even if the phone were in airplane mode, as was pointed out, that Bluetooth connection may likely still be enabled, and that handshake could occur. That evidence would stay on the phone, and that's something that a forensic examiner could later take and say, yes, this phone was within Bluetooth communication of this speaker, this microwave, this thermostat, that type of thing at this point in time.
This is probably a yes or no. But
That's
if the
wild.
speaker is turned off, does it still emit a Bluetooth signal, or is off when it comes to
off is off? Off is off.
Okay. How about the car? Let's talk about this 2015 Elantra. Some people have said they don't have the infotainment system. Some people have said they do. So maybe it's kind of haphazard on the 2015. But if Kohberger gets into his Elantra with his phone, right? Because he's driving. We already know he had his phone with him because well, at least according to the authorities, he is driving out of Pullman or around, Pullman at 2:48, 2:47, I think I said the time was. Look, 2:47 a.m. And then he, hauls back in and is back online. He basically turns the phone back on or does whatever at 4:48 a.m. If he's in that car, is it going to handshake him to the car? Because right now we know an Elantra that belongs to him was at the murder scene, and a defense attorney will say, who was driving? Did you see him behind the wheel? But if his phone connected to his Bluetooth and went to the murder scene, now that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, there may very likely be a record of that. I mean, the data that I've seen in the public record is based of where he is based on the cell tower pinging, the location, which is much less accurate and much more, covers a greater area than the Bluetooth communication. Obviously, you have to be much closer to a device to ping off of that with your phone. And there are records of that kept in the device, in the phone. Sorry, I'm looking down at my iPhone here, I guess expecting it to do something. But yes, I mean, we have seen we've worked other types of cases, other types of homicides, cases where car accident cases, a lot of times you'll see a Bluetooth was activated and started playing music or something like that. And then a car accident occurs moments later. I mean, that's a fairly common thing to see.
It fascinates me to think that somebody could think, well, I'm just going to turn my phone off and I'll go dark. But that phone stayed more than likely light if it were connected to the car. And then that car continued on its merry way. So the footprint would continue, even though the cell towers lost him. All of this allegations, he has the right to remain innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But man, this evidence, it's pretty fascinating stuff. Hey, Clark, thank you.
So you hear this. And you hear this information, which is very interesting. I know this is news for new information for Andrea. So I wanted to share it with you, of course, Andrea, but I wanted to share it with everybody too. Because I know you were talking about in one of your videos about cell phone pings and all that stuff too. So now that they're adding in the possibility of him leaving maybe a light, for lack of a better term, a light digital footprint somewhere in the house, there is that possibility as well. I mean, there was the theory or the rumor, speculation of connecting to Wi-Fi in some sort of way before, but now it sounds like it's Bluetooth. And if that is true, then that is wild. That's very interesting information. What are your thoughts on this new information here?
Yeah, well, these are what I would consider to be very predictable investigative pathways for them to be taking. Anything that they can do to try to establish location is going to be something that they pursue. It's very possible we'll find out at the preliminary hearing. I will say that probably the biggest sources of information that the police are going to have that we know nothing about at this point and will not until we get to that preliminary hearing are his cell phone and his computer tower. I mean, both of those, if they are in police custody, are going to be an absolute gold mine full of information. It's typically the type of thing that is either going to be able to pretty conclusively rule you out, or add a lot to these circumstances that tend to make it look like you're the one who is the perpetrator here. So yeah, Bluetooth connections, Wi-Fi connections, things like that are things that they can search. I would expect them to do that. Whether or not that ends up being something that's viable, something that is, more significant than what we can get directly from the phone and the tower themselves, that will remain to be seen.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to this, again, this is coming from a source, again, the possibilities are endless here, y'all. They're endless. Anything's possible with this. We don't know at all what's fact or fiction. This is just from another source, again, from another source, but we don't have anything that's factual yet. And but it would be wild. We already talked about everything. It could be the dog. You know what I'm saying? It could literally be like a episode of Shaggy or whatever the heck it's called. I forgot why am I forgetting it? Shaggy, the dog and the people in the mystery machine. What is it called?
Oh, Scooby-Doo.
Wow. It could be some Scooby-Doo type stuff. It could be it could just be being caught by a damn speaker. You know what I'm saying? The possibilities are endless. If his phone literally connected to this speaker, then yes, this would help tremendously. But that doesn't automatically mean for a fact that he was there at the scene of the crime. So I can see defense already running. Like, I should be on this defense team, for crying out loud. I got stuff already up my sleeve. But if you really, no, I really don't want it. But at the same time, if you really think about it, they can look at that and go, okay, so he's been in the house before. And same thing when they talked about the Wi-Fi. Oh, his phone could have connected to the Wi-Fi. Okay, if it did, still doesn't mean he was there. He could have gone to a party. He could have. You need to know
what the range of the device is. Whether you're talking about the Wi-Fi or whether you're talking about a Bluetooth device. That will tell you. Yes. Is he in the house or is he down the street? I mean, there's a potential range of outcomes there. We just don't know.
We just don't know. But Andrea, I appreciate you being on. I know that we couldn't be on for a long time this time, but I love that. Of course, you've been here. This is not your first rodeo on the show, but of course I have to say it as tradition. Always great to have you here. Would love to have you back here very, very soon, because this legal stuff drives me absolutely up the wall. And I don't know all that stuff. So it's nice to have somebody who knows exactly what the hell she is talking about. So thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
And guys, please do me a favor. Go and follow Andrea right now. You just gained about over 100 and something subscribers. Look at that.
Awesome.
Boom. Look at that. He already went up to the 0.1K there, or, 69.1K. So guys, go subscribe to her channel. It is at A Burkhart Law. Okay. It's that simple. Go subscribe to her channel. You know how informative she is. She was just in here just talking waxing legal with us, which has been amazing. So go and hit that subscribe button over there. Help her get into the 70s, okay? We need to get into the age of love and the age of Aquarius or something.
How deep is your love?
How deep is your, oh my gosh, the BPs? Oh, yes. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Yes,
I feel you.
bring in some BGs. Okay. But again, Andrea, thank you so much for being here. Let me put up her, make sure you guys see that there. I forgot to put her your name tag there at the end, but you can see right there that it's the same on her Twitter as well. Go follow her there. Do that. Do something solid today. Do something smart by following her. Okay. But Andrea, again, thank you so much for being here. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you. We'll do it again.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. I'm definitely happy that I'm feeling less crazy. Okay. I am feeling less crazy about the information. Now I feel a little bit better. Okay. Feeling a little bit better about everything. Real talk. I'm feeling a lot better right now. That we have a little bit more clarity on everything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. By the way, please, guys, go and follow me on Twitter as well. Shameless plug, but please go and follow The Pascal Show, one word, on Twitter. All right. Go and do that. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay. Athletics 510. Great interview. Thank you so much, Athletics. I appreciate it. You know, hopefully you're doing some push-ups and getting nice and swole. You know what I mean? With your swole mate. All right. But hopefully you guys are all well. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Saturday night. And hopefully that gave you a little bit more clarity on everything that's going on as far as the new affidavit, the gag order, the appeal to the appeal of the gag order, and all that stuff. Okay. And many, many more things. Okay. I appreciate all y'all for being here again. It's been amazing. Be sure to do not forget to hit that like button down below. That would really, really mean a lot. Love to get it past 800 likes before y'all head out. That would mean the world to me. Okay. A like doesn't cost a thing, and it helps this story and this show get out there. So help this little train that will. Ooh, yeah. I like that. And of course, if you haven't done that yet, hit that subscribe button. You know your boy's working hard out here in these streets. Dag nabbit. Okay? So hit that subscribe button. We are marching towards 100,000 subscribers. Holy cow. So go do yourself a favor. Let Christmas show up early this year. I just said that. And hit that subscribe button. Make a gift for yourself for Christmas early and hit that subscribe button. Oh my God. I'm done. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful Saturday. I will be back on tomorrow morning. I got some huge, serious news to break to you guys tomorrow. It's on a story that you don't want to miss. Yeah, and we will most likely be the first to break the story. That's why I'm not saying anything. So, but we did tap on it a while ago. But we're bringing it back because I got some new info that y'all all need to hear. So be sure to hit that notification bell so you know when I go live, because I will be live tomorrow morning. I got some information before Super Bowl. Yes, I know tomorrow's Super Bowl. That's why I'm doing it tomorrow morning. Damn. Okay, because I know everybody's going to be busy. Already pre-drinking, pre-gaming, and all that stuff before the game and all that. And I want to enjoy the Super Bowl too, dag nabbit. But this is very important. This is extremely important, and I need all y'all's help on this particular story, getting this story out. So we will be talking about that tomorrow morning. Hit that notification bell. But first, actually hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then it will say, you want to hit that bell? Yes, ring the bell. Okay? Just ring the bell. All right? And then tomorrow morning, I will be breaking some serious news with you guys. And it's not funny at all, but it's important to talk about. Okay? So anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Without you guys, me and Andrea would have been talking to each other through a wall. We'd be talking at a wall to each other. It's not that fun. Okay? And Nicole, hell no. There you go. All right. Ring his bell. Ring that bell. Ring the bell, okay? Tomorrow morning, we got some things to talk about. And don't worry, it's not going to be like 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? It'll be more like 10, 11, okay? Before noon. How's that? So just be on the lookout, because it won't be a very long show, but it will be a good discussion and a much needed discussion, and I need y'all's helps. Big time, okay? So I got to get going. I appreciate all y'all. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that bell. Also hit that join button if you want to become a member. Show. You know for a fact your boy working hard out here in these streets. I'm bringing so many people, so many talented individuals, knowledge. I'm giving you knowledge. Okay? So come on, man. Hit the join. Damn. Hit the join button. Become a member. It's not that hard. Okay? Anyway, guys, I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. Tomorrow's Super Bowl Sunday, so we do have a very important conversation which we will have before the festivities begin. Okay? I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Super Bowl Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.